I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and with me today is a special guest, this time in audio form. The Finnish master with a screen name Nalaheim, also known as one of the best players in the world and fellow YouTuber, Otto Ikonen. Otto, great to have you here.
Great to be back indeed. We're going to be having a great match today between I think what could be possibly two of the best Hong Kong players. Well, let's not maybe go too far out. They are quite evenly matched between many of the Hong Kong of the other HK players. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly who is the number one from their side at this point. But we're going to be having a great match nonetheless with a quite a high quality, I have to say.
Indeed. So before I introduce the players and we speak about the players' chances, just wanted to talk about this tournament a little bit, because it's a one-of-a-kind thing, which we don't show that very often. It's a national online tournament, kind of one of the four national seasonal championships of Hong Kong, where Hong Kong's 12 strongest players will be some well-known masters. So for example, currently in first place you can see Eugene Tse. In second, also master, the multifaceted board game athlete Sunny369. This is Kei Tsi Cheng. And in third place, this is what we're interesting. This is the person who's going to be playing today. We have Daniel Cheng with a screen name Alexey, known of course for many achievements. The one he would be most known for is probably the highest peak rating in Hong Kong of 765. And he's also a tournament director, the creator of the King of Carcassonne, the largest, most important turn-based tournament, which has been recognized at the international level as well. He'll be playing against a rising star with the screen name CTCTCTCTCT. I'm not sure if I pronounced the right number of CTs, but all the CTs stand for Carman Tang. There, of course, will be one Carman, not 5. And Carman has had a great 2025. He won the Hong Kong in-person national championship and thus was participating in the World Championship, where he finished in the middle of the pack. He's also participating in the Carcassonne Champions League as one of the selected players and doing pretty well there. He actually recently defeated the world champion, I believe. He defeated Cheng Yu-chin, yes. Which, Otto, I think you might have covered. Did I get that right?
I wouldn't actually say that. I don't think I have covered that. If it has happened,
then maybe I covered it. It is entirely possible, or Ice Mace covered it. Like, there's just so many matches going on that honestly I'm losing my mind a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, CTCTCT, I told him the rating. So an expert, still not a master, but definitely getting there. I'm gonna give maybe like 60% chances to Daniel simply because of experience. Do you concur, Otto, or do you think it's gonna be a bit more evenly matched up?
I honestly think it's gonna be maybe a bit more evenly matched up. I mean, like I said, and on the very early minutes, I wouldn't be really able to like pinpoint the utmost best players out of Hong Kong, and certainly Daniel has I would say the maybe even long-termer experience, while Eugene could be like, you know, with a higher peak rating perhaps, but the experience is not quite there necessarily yet.
Right, so we do seem to be mostly on the same page. The match is in fact starting, and it's an interesting format which we can talk a little bit about later. Basically what we're going to see today are 2 games regardless of the outcome, because this tournament is not played in a best of 3, it is played in a double round robin format, so everybody's going to play everybody. CTCT has played like half of the rounds, so they're still going to have some games available, but for LSC this is going to be the final round. So if LSC wins both games, then they are going to become the champion. If LSC loses even one, then the title will most probably go to Eugene Tse, who is currently at the top of the leaderboard. And we will comment on the moves shortly, as we have pretty standard moves at the start. We're sure we'll be able to catch up. I know that, Otto, you've been doing a bit some calculating about some other remote possibilities in the tournament table.
There is indeed. So you mentioned that with a 2-0 win today, Daniel will certainly be the number one rated on this tournament, at least for a moment, as there is at least a theoretical chance, maybe even maybe more just than just a theoretical, but because this is played in a double round robin format and each player has like 22 games, then there is one player who can still challenge LSC on his way to glory if Daniel manages to win 2-0 today, and that player is Ban712, who currently has 18 games played with 11 wins. And he has won one game against LSC and has lost one game against LSC. But because there are tiebreakers involved, and those tiebreakers in this instance include the total game point difference between those 2 games between Pan and Daniel, then Daniel doesn't quite have what it takes to overcome his potential rival in those tiebreakers. So if Pan manages to get 4 wins out of his 4 remaining matches, he will be at 15 matches won, or 15 games won, however you want to say it, and he will be the champion of this tournament.
This is, of course, a remote possibility, and Daniel will do everything that is in his control. He'll just going to try and win this game, and I'm going to say all but guarantee the win of the tournament, because in Carcassonne it will be very hard for Pan, or for anybody at that, win 4 games on demand, completely flawless. And as the game progresses, now we get already some non-standard moves. Of course, we started with CT being the starting player with red meeples. LSC with green has 4 points for the city over here, a 5-point monastery for green, a 5-point road for red, so quite even. Both farmers here are pretty interesting. So this farmer from the player with the green meeples looks fairly standard, although it's mildly unexpected to me. But what do you make of this 0-point farmer, of the extremely early farmer from CT, Otto?
Well, of course, first things first, there is somewhat potential, given that when the farmer was placed, then CT was placing it to the part with the most green squares, with 5 of those, and of course 1 potential city. But I wouldn't really recommend these super early farmers with 0 points on that field. Like, even if it were to have let's say okay growth potential with all the green squares, I would really want to see the farmers being placed to fields where there are already points involved, and not try to be too premature and too predictive.
Yeah, I would expect that most players would follow that advice as well. I mean, CT maybe just wanted to surprise, maybe wanted to be a bit efficient. Now, he's not lost or anything, but this farmer will just need to work pretty hard to make itself worthwhile. Like, he will need to build on top of green squares, maybe drawing a road monastery at some point to expand the field, though that looks a little bit unlikely. Some semi-standard moves are played, as red is developing a city at the bottom and his road, green is building up his monastery, and the city over here already having 7 extra points on the scoreboard. But just pointed something in relation to your commentary, Otto, that LSC kind of saw the potential misplacement or the underprivileged placement of this farmer and started building the monastery in a non-standard way to combat that. So this here tile, which could have been used over here to score 2 points and kind of creates monastery square like this, was indeed used not there, but a little bit higher, just to limit the number of those green squares whilst still building up the monastery.
That is indeed the case, though I think it's going to, it takes a bit like, less space away from the field than LSC is potentially like expecting it to take, because City in a like even in a normal situation, he won't start cities next to LSC's monastery anyway, because of course Red doesn't really want to give the points to the monastery himself. Like, he will only start cities there if there are no other green squares, and he has to, like, by all means try and kind of force the expansion of the field. So I think it's it's an okay move, but I think it's a little too neat. Although I'm not sure if LC actually meepled that road. I think he did, because it would be a very, yeah, he did. Okay, so then it does make a bit of a sensible move, but he does also kind of kill off the monastery spot next to his own monastery, which I'm not really sure if it is like that worth to kill off just for the sake of trying to restrict a field which still has green squares kind of all over the place.
Well, he did get another monastery spot later on when Red continued his road. He will be quite happy with 5 points over here. Also building up another monastery perhaps and expanding his farming squares. Some other natural moves happened as Red started another road, which also opened up the field. Quite interestingly, so Red chose to invest a second meeple on the road just to get an extra green square, which I believe could have been his only motivation. And LSC does get the second monastery. Now it's a jolly pair. I'm going to say that Green has quite the advantage over here, despite that a couple of moves earlier, Red finished his first city and now finished the second one, gets a meeple back, is technically 5 points ahead on the board, and he's also now poking in the north at this here square, potentially blocking or invading that shared city. Let's see which one CT chooses, but despite that, I believe that the monasteries of Green are just too strong, and Green would have a bit of an advantage in this position.
I think I would have to concur, yes. The monasteries certainly are looking juicy, and being also on the winning side of the two fields, then like, despite being 5 points down on the scoreboard, I mean I do think that LSC's position is just great. Which, as Carman, I think I would want to combat that with placing the Dorito exactly the other way and trying to make one larger city. Now, of course, there are benefits to going like the maybe a bit of a like safer route and not maybe just getting into a mini battle in the worst case scenario, I believe. But this is a bit of a, how would I say it? It's a bit of a more conservative move, and just trying to maybe also like push a little of those like multiple cities onto his field, because he is practically forcing LSC to go there now with a road Dorito, if he manages to get one. Or of course the horses also work, but then I'm not really sure if LSC would be willing to use one just to get a people back from the monastery, because of course then it would give back a opportunity for CT to then re-attack the city and take it over, and that would be very much one potential way of CT trying to overcome the deficit from the monastery scoring that LSC now has.
I indeed hoped to see your suggested move on the board. It's actually a bit more powerful than it seems, even though it sort of plays with that potential mini battle scenario. It actually doesn't happen very often. I mean, 7 out of the 8 big tiles are still in the deck, so a sequence of completing that city is actually quite likely. And whilst the tactical idea of trying to build smaller cities in his field is understandable, it's still not guaranteed, because I was going to say that this platform can be used for invading this city, and LSC just drew one, so this city soon is going to become shared, I presume. I don't really see any other ideas for green. In the meantime, green did complete an 8-point city, and red chose to place a 3-point monastery over here just to control 2 green's monasteries, instead of going over here for 5 points and give support to his road and protect the city. Do you have opinions about this move, Otto?
Well, I mean, again, I do have to say that I am pretty much on the same page with you. I was eyeing on that 5-point square with the additional benefit of maybe getting a crossroad, and then also not only building up a monastery of green, but also the monastery of red then, and like you said, also like indirectly protecting the city. See, as he is going to be pushing for multiple cities on the field.
And one thing
Also,
with
I don't particularly right here, because it not only adds, it not only does it add 2 points to the monasteries of LSC, but it doesn't really particularly weaken the structure of the monasteries. Like, it doesn't really make the build up more difficult. And also there's a case where LSC could just use a regular curve or any curvy tile on the road of CT and just turn it going downwards, and then there are going to be 2 meeples against 2 meeples in favor of LSC anyways.
And green is the side which has a bit more points, I believe, so this would be a favorable mini battle for green in that scenario. And also in general, this move, whilst creative, it seems like something that you play when you believe you're ahead to sort of minimize variance, because then you know that for any point that your opponent gets to sort of get compensation points. It seems that red was maybe not in the exact position to do that. However, this move seems to work sort of kind of for now. I mean, it's 6 points over here. However, green will be finishing this monastery sometime soon, and green has a wonderful, just absolutely wonderful 15-point field, potentially expanding even further. Green is going to get a meeple back soon, and red's farmer is still stranded at 0. I'm not sure exactly what to do over here, but at this point I think we already have to ask, how are red's comeback strategies looking?
That is certainly a valid question, and well, one of course is maybe trying to actually like to limit the road of CT by himself to a road monastery, although it would serve a big time the monasteries of green as well. So in the long term, I don't really see well, at least just the road monastery being like saving grace for city, as he would also then have to see the trouble of trying to complete the monasteries then of his own. But the city at the top now, with the horse being invested by LSC to get the people back from the monastery, then that could possibly be a salvation time for CT, even though it is nowhere near like a guaranteed connection, or maybe even going to be a really easy equalization also for LSC. But like at this stage, we kind of do have to very harshly take that into account, that maybe we just have to go for like a bit like these sort of like semi YOLO moves before it is too late and before even that chance is going out the window, as apparently it now has.
Yeah, CTCT goes for immediate scoring over some long-term benefits, and there's certainly some merit to this. After all, 3 points are 3 points are 3 points, and I can see some routes, like maybe he can still go over here and try to get at least a ruin, or in some scenarios he might be even able to get this ruin without the investment of a meeple, like using this here red guy, kind of penetrating all the way here, maybe blocking the square, like not allowing the green guy to participate in that at all. Another remote possibility, but with a non-zero chance, is this one over here with a splitter, trying to get a city cap, finish a city for 12 points, and then leave again this green guy's transit. But red found something that I hadn't seen, and it's a wonderful possibility to get this farmer to rectify the mistake from, well, not the mistake, but to rectify the extravagant move from the opening and to try to get it into the main field after all, and this is through creating a loop. So wonderful recognition of geometry that the T-shaped crossroads, or any crossroads together with 3 curves, has the same topological effect as one road monastery. And Alexey now recognizes that this farm is going to be invaded. He anticipates a curve going over here, red connecting into this field, and green is starting to drop a second farmer already, so we might see something similar from CT at some point. Not now, probably, as an 8-point monastery is the most likely scenario, or is it?
Honestly, I would probably say that it might not be the best course of action, but it certainly is a juicy opportunity, as it is rather easily blockable. And from City's perspective, like, even if he were to get the one meeple to the field, which he like absolutely has to get, because, you know, again, his own field is just at 0 points still, then because LSC has the long-term meeple maturity, or at least the short-term meeple maturity, then it's going to be really difficult for CT to kind of try and run over the field with only having 1 or 2 meeples in hand, and with LSC going with a second meeple to the field already just to secure it, and the securing looks to be a very convincing way to have or to maintain the advantage for green, and even with the crossroad, making sure that the curve plan never happens. It's gonna be at least a quite a party still for LSC for quite a while.
And the cherry on top is that not only has the field been secured, because I really find it unlikely to see these 2 meeples of green contested, since, well, red doesn't have that many meeples, and this field doesn't have many invasion platforms. But on top of that, I was going to say that there are only 2 crossroads remaining for red, but fortunately, CT does draw one of them, so this game will keep being alive, and red actually was going to develop this farm a little bit with the city cap, so wisely Daniel prevents this over here. So red's gonna need to find something different, but red, I think, is now kind of getting the gist of it, trying to set up some high risk high reward opportunities, such as this move a few moves ago, setting up the last remaining road monastery, hoping to get 18 points on the scoreboard when this and this squares are completed. Of course, winning the coin flip would be required. But you know what? If he does get the coin flip, he's only down 6 points on the scoreboard. He's going to get 18. The field is 15. Like, it's going to be close enough. He's only going to be -3 with chances to maybe draw like 1 city cap and another city cap for this 1 green square at the top. Get this field at least worth something and then be slightly in the lead.
Certainly a possibility, but you know, hinging on that 50-50 and then afterwards then some, it's still a kind of large-ish advantage for LSC for sure, I would say. And with the restriction made on the 1 point city part of CT, even denying a possible like a divider or something from going there and getting the additional 4 points for completing the city of LSC, the the issues of CT are really just not over, even with the Road Monastery. Now, what he could possibly do is just, connect here, then get actually City Cap and then maybe another Dorito, and try to bank like on a double plan of on getting an overrun on a small a smallish 12-point city, but that would be enough together with the Road Monastery to put CT ahead, and he would also have the meeple majority. Of course, not a particularly like high probability plan, but then again, we don't really have any of such plans available to us.
I actually love that idea. I overlooked that a little bit. I just do let me know if I'm drawing this correctly, if you mean the city on the left, right? Because it's going to be even if the plan hasn't been completed, then it would be possible to just get 3 extra points by finishing a shared city. But CT chooses to go the scoring route, which I guess is understandable. Dropping the shielded tile is a little bit regrettable, but if he gets a curve, then of course 4 points are 4 points are 4 points, and he can still score a little bit later. I was thinking also about some ruin options. Still, the tile runout just does not suggest that happening, so it seems to me that CT might be waiting for that splitter plus city cap combo, whilst LSC is thinking what on earth to do with this uninspiring Road Dorito tile.
CT, yes, you did indeed catch my plan correctly there, and the 4 points here for CT for the road are indeed like okay. So I mean, you gotta start somewhere, but they also further expand the field of LSC, which maybe wasn't even the worst thing to happen there, because it still had some green squares, but it now also has enabled, and it has happened so that another city was added straight up to the field as a result of that 4-point road, which of course, I mean, we are not at a luxury of being able to wait the final crossroad for us to get to the hand, because we need 2 meeples for any plans that we might come up with. But then again, this 4-point road has now basically turned into a 1-point road, and the upside of that road wasn't really particularly great for 2 tiles.
This is because CT must have overlooked this maneuver from LSC. That's actually a wonderful spot, which makes me regret calling this tile uninspiring, because it's only through this here move that this city ended up being connected to the fields, which I'm pretty sure Red just did not see. Then an interesting tile for Daniel at the moment. There are just so many opportunities. If Daniel were behind, he could start something like high risk, such as going over here, meepling the city, and trying to complete a 10-pointer with the last starting tile like this in this area. He could also achieve something similar by going over here and then trying to get either the last starting tile or the last dagger as well, which would achieve the same purpose, but he figures being ahead, lower variance is best, and just scores 2 points. CT with a starting tile now needs to do something way more serious, and I'm thinking of going over here for 4 points.
What could possibly be, and what can he do with them? Maybe take the 6-point field then from the left, from the other side, once he finishes the current 1-point city. So that's kind of doubling up on the field and doubling up the profits, I guess, from those 2 cities, which were not given to happen onto his field, like really at almost any point of the game before those 2 previous moves.
Yeah, it would be actually symbolic and quite entertaining if Red were to finish this game without any cities on the farm. However, this city cap still sort of appears to be available for use. so my intrusive thoughts will not necessarily win. Then another important factor in the position is the time situation. Like LSC has less than 2 minutes on the clock, CT has less than 2 minutes on the clock as well, so it is not a lot of time to think in these circumstances with 11 tiles remaining. I do expect Daniel to go over here and just pick off the city cap, start a new city, threaten to drop a farmer, but there are other opportunities, such as simply going over here and eradicating the city cap without the investment of a meeple, or being more gutsy, going over here and meepling a city for 5 points with the chance to go over here and finish a larger 12-point city.
For those of you who are watching the stream, it might be great for you to maybe refresh the page in order for everyone on the stream to see the divider being drawn and CT actually having a city on his field.
Oh, interesting.
Because
okay.
Currently it is doing a bit poorly for the viewers, I guess.
Right, yeah. Okay, so this is something, yeah, the city is indeed there. And CT is actually quite close on the scoreboard. Daniel, of course, again, getting a little bit further ahead, but I think I need to refresh again because I see some interesting combinations of graphics, whilst CT gets himself extra points for his side of the city. That's actually very smart. That could rival the field, sort of, kind of, maybe not enough if you're down on the scoreboard. Again, reminder that 18 points is the side of the field. However, the monastery threat has not gone out. This city could be completed and the farmer could be dropped. LSC now drops a farmer of his own. The city points could be quite a lot if the quad city is drawn over here, for example, which still exists in the deck. So red definitely still has chances.
Maybe not, actually, because seems like one tile has been discarded, as LSC has now an odd tile amount remaining in the deck, and CT has been the starting player, so I think we have had a tile discard at some point.
Which probably would be the quadruple city tile then, yes.
Yes.
That's very astute observation, Otto, because normally with Board Game Arena it's just sometimes easy to overlook discards. So a similar idea, I guess, a triple city, the last cow tile is needed over here to achieve the
for a few seconds, so we didn't quite get to enjoy the brilliant thoughts that you had there, but fortunately it was at the very end of the game, and not much extravagancies were able to be happened. Though the Road Monastery, of course, as you said, is a very tough nail to bite on for CT, as it goes to LSC for 9 points, and well, actually for 5 points, which I actually believe that LSC should have definitely nibbled the monastery instead of doing just the 2 points on the road, as there were really no other scoring tiles available for him in the deck anyway, so he has now kind of lost out on 4 points. But that's not really a really big matter of consideration for LSC when he wins by 24, and there was really no possible way to lose the game after the Road Monastery was drawn.
And time trouble was indeed a factor, so there was no real room to optimize for the perfect moves at the end. Also, LSC drew the cow as well to get the extra point for the city too. So CT losing quite by a lot. I think the most logical outcome would be to lose by a little bit, but it was quite instructive to watch how Carman was just struggling with that early farmer and the consequences thereof, and Daniel just brilliantly showed how to play a counter field.
That is quite an accurate assessment of the game, yes, and therefore, with the rather unfortunate farmer for CT, it was very difficult really to come back to the game, like almost like throughout the game, like in its entirety. There weren't a whole lot of chances, and so City had to rely on these like a 50-50 shots and some more like long-term plans with such as like the setting up a loop after finishing up the road, even though it ended up being non-successful. Then I certainly wouldn't say that it was a bad idea at all. It was certainly one that which I think certainly like helped or aided City's winning chances as much as he could have.
Indeed, concur completely. We're now moving on to the second game, where CT will be the starting player, again with the red meeples, LSC again with the green, again also start. I'm just gonna double check if CT is still thinking with a straight line. And yeah, this move has been made. Instead of prolonging the road, CT just went ahead over here, trying to break the city of green, which actually I do like a lot. It's just happened that the green drew the tile immediately to save that city, also to equalize this city cap. This road meeple was interesting, however it does make a lot of sense for 2 points, pretty much the only road in green's possession. Green chooses to not even bother continuing that road actually, but tries to block here a little bit. Red immediately defends, so the city's rather safe, and Carman is going to get the first 8 points off his game, potentially even meepling an extra road.
Definitely should meeple a road there. Don't really want to leave those 6-point loops hanging there around. Now, you did mention the LSC's 2-point road, which I really honestly didn't like myself that he meepled it, although it ended up being, or seemingly at least so far, ended up being quite efficient indeed, as he got a city crossroad for himself as well, being able to close up the road from one side and threaten also a Dorito plus a triple city combo from the other. Now, however, he's gonna be in a bit of trouble, and it is fully self-made trouble, may I add, as LSC meepled a 5-point monastery and therefore kind of destroyed his own chances, his own kind of good chances at getting the said Dorito triple city combo, allowed the attack for CT, and now what does LSC even do? Like, he can't really direct his own second city going upwards, because he would be limiting 3 meeples to the quad city, which he doesn't really want to do, and he then now doesn't really do anything about it, doesn't even restrict the left-hand side of the city potentially for CT, and I wonder how in the heck is LSC going to get out of this situation now, which looks really ugly for him.
Yeah, the more I think about this, I don't think there's anything. Carman, in the meantime, equalizes the city, the little city of green, not even gonna bother waiting for any sort of other restriction. Tile decides to equalize a meeple, then looking for a city cap, which is probably now gonna put over here, then waiting for a triple city. Daniel, in the meantime, places a monastery in a spot which is not a monastery, it's a 3-point road, which actually surprises me, because it's a good way to like limit this square and cut off the road short, but there were in fact 2 other suitable places for a monasteries. In the meantime, CT untangles his road a little bit, but it is still several tiles before completion.
The two other spots for the Road Monastery indeed want to finish off the Road of LSC and meeple the monastery itself, or to maybe even go for, I guess, potentially for the monastery stacking. But even with the regular monastery that he has now played, which looks alright, I'm not sure like how happy he actually is or how nervous he actually is, because if those monasteries get restricted down to a dagger, I'm not particularly certain that LC is going to be too happy on his situation, because he has started a field himself, and if those monasteries get restricted down to a dagger, it's either going to come down into two choices, or into two positions. Either city is going to get the triple city and just be waiting for the dagger for maybe, I don't know, even eternity, and possibly get himself the 12 or 14 point city and allow the meeples back for LC as well, or everything out there is gonna get restricted down to a quad city, and the monasteries are still left to suffer for the dagger. However, now that the situation has actually gone in a let's say rather swimmingly, for LC being able to continue the city and the monasteries with the field Dorito, which I didn't actually somehow take into account at all, then those monasteries do seem now to be in a better spot, especially the newer one. But there is still the same issue that there has always been, which is again the same triple city spot, where LSC again is thinking for a long time as to what exactly can he do for it, and the answer again might be nothing.
I struggle to see anything else, truly. This honestly is something, right? So he first of all blocks the square, and I guess the long-term plan of LSC is to go here for an extra monastery point, then maybe we go here and we fully block the square, then we get some sort of a triple city, we allow our opponents to have a 7 or 8 point ruin, and then we get our monastery meeple back. So something like this could sort of kind of work.
Potentially, yes. The quad thief, I mean, it's always so like gutsy on the other hand, and also annoying on the other, to like ever try and set up for like anywhere to try and benefit from it in any way, because it always kind of requires those extra city tiles for you to invest for that setup, and then in some cases you do it for the opponent, in some cases you do it for yourself, and whatever you do, it's always going to require often like kind of value tiles to first set up, and it's only a 50-50 chance every time, because again the number of quad cities do not change over games.
Well, CT has gone far into the tank with this, again, slightly unseemly Dorito, which is going to be used for something simple, yeah, like continuing a road and a dagger tile for LEC. I just wanted to use the opportunity to say hello in the chat, which I should have done, everybody. Hi, Kaika. Hi, Temrak. Hi, Agatha. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Juan. Yeah. Hi, your son. Oh, also, do let me know if Otto's volume got better. I made Otto a little bit louder. In the meantime, natural moves are being played. LSE was continuing the road, threatening the square, but CT drew a crossroad tile, got 4 points over here, and now a shielded tile for LSE, something which this red player would have liked over here, but instead, Daniel's going to need to make a choice whether to place it over here, I don't know, in order to try to prevent the block of the square, because of the dreaded 50-50 for the quadruple city, it's kind of a real thing, or just chance it and leave more tiles available to the square and place this tile somewhere else, like this. That's interesting. On one hand, it presents the opportunity of blocking the square. On the other hand, it makes this monastery very vulnerable.
But given that, given exactly that, given the monastery vulnerability, given that it can be now restricted down to 1 dagger, there's also the consideration that CT is gonna want to save the potential.
LSC's probably gonna get... Yeah, there was a bit of a cutout. I'm just gonna refresh just in case. But a road has just been finished for LSC. He even starts a new one rather greedily, but he knows that there's still 5 straight lines remaining to fit into that square. One of them has been drawn by CT, but not to worry, there are 4 remaining. Red is trying to fully block this monastery square, kind of the only use for a straight line, and in response green is trying to restrict the road of red. However, there are going to be multiple moves required in order to do that, and I don't even believe a complete block is possible. Now, from Carman's perspective, do we just start a new city somewhere calmly, or do we go for something more interesting, like going over here and going for a juicier city?
Would you ever consider in this position going for the salvation for the city of red towards the 2 remaining tube dividers and setting up possibly the 8-point city for green with only 1 tile remaining?
Yeah, the 8-point city opportunity is honestly quite terrifying because green is going to get like 17 on the scoreboard, and it's just a little bit too much for comfort, especially since this option was available. So CT resists making the content move, just makes a normal move, and LSC finally is alleviated from his suffering, sort of, kind of, actually. Gets the tile to get his monastery back, but not to save the city. Because until this move, there were actually some options with the splitter tile that you mentioned, and with the triple city, and with some other city cap to even complete the city, which I am sure that LSC is just not going to allow.
I would certainly bet my money on this tile going either on the left or on the right for the full block, and I guess actually rather on to the left to deny the further growth of the ruin and from snatching like a couple juicy shielded tiles, and it is exactly where this tile goes, and I believe it also belongs. Also, like on the right, it had like really merely only one other task than to make the full block, and that is to protect the 1 point of LSC to not get like sucked in to the 3 meeples. But you know, losing 1 point wouldn't really be much of a loss anyway, with such a benefit of taking away the huge threats of the city being completed at any point.
Lots of blocks in the meantime. Actually, 2 complete blocks and 1 incomplete block, which CT might actually try to prevent. It's not a crazy move, you just go over here and try to set up a 3-point road, whilst also diminishing the chances of LSC getting a straight line and then restricting the square to a quadruple crossroads, of which there are only 1. But this tile is also needed in another place. I mean, since this city is blocked, it's become a ruin, and going over here would add 4 points to this square. This move is a bit less understandable to me, unless red drops a farmer to connect. But what am I saying? Of course, the field is not big enough to be worth it. Instead, trying to score efficiently for a road with one of the many curves remaining, one of the 4 curves remaining, or something like this. But sometimes, just sometimes, this meeple can get restricted towards the crossroads, and we're sort of headed towards that direction as green gets a couple of points and a meeple back. Red is building up over here on the left. LSC with his army of meeples has wonderful options. Let's try to list them all. He could start this here city in either of these 2 squares and try to threaten a 10 pointer, or he could make one of the many blocking moves, going over here, restricting this square, going over here, restricting this square, or going over here, restricting this square, and dropping a farmer.
Certainly many ways to go at it, and I want to actually for just a wee moment go back to City's move with the triple city, with the orientation being, I think, a little worse than it could be. I think he could get like more value out of it by pointing the road going upwards, seeing that there's still one horse remaining in the deck. He could still suck in that 1 point meeple of LSC, and he could then also take those 2 points in the future, and he would then be able to further expand the ruin with field plus city tiles, or with road plus city tiles, whereas now it can only be progressed downwards, and it also can be easily denied from having any further progression.
Quite instructive about efficiency and just creating small threats like expansion of that city. Easy idea to miss, because you're sort of thinking, like, when you get a tile like this, that either you have to go over here right now or you have to do something else. And sort of the idea that you could postpone the problem of this square a little bit later and still allow the 50-50 chance is something that honestly actually didn't even cross my mind. I mean, I'm aware of this tactic being a general thing, but certainly would have been a nicer idea. In the meantime, many blocks, or at least one, so there's only one square that goes over here. A couple of cities have been completed. Carman is now ahead on the scoreboard and on meeples, but some good farmers here for LSC. This guy is now worth 6 points, so that's something. This guy is now worth 12 points, so that is double something. However, CT has meeples, which he can use to invade from the left or from the top.
For now, the meeple majority for CT, or let's say the short-term meeple majority in hand is serving CT well, but that can easily be taken away with one of the many remaining city caps, or with one of the many remaining crossroads, or with the ore curve tiles, as LSC has wonderful chances of getting his meeples back. And again, a bit of an inaccuracy here for CT now, given that LSC needs curve tiles elsewhere anyway. CT could have very well just left a 3-point road out there with a regular curve, just rotate this crossroad to any other direction, still take the 3 points. But I don't think CT is really I can understand that I can understand that he doesn't want to leave out these 3 points for his opponent to grab, but it's only like basically 1 point for LC to grab, and he's going to be risking the road meeple to get stuck for further time. Whereas in this in scenario of fields being created and being attacked, then the less meeples that LSC has, the better it is for CT.
CT in the meantime drops a 6-point farmer, sacrifices even a road monastery, which honestly appears to be immensely premature, but this is sometimes what players do when you have a lot of meeples in hand. You kind of feel that you sort of can throw them around, and then you do it once and twice, and the third time you don't really have a meeple. It's okay, it's not really a big loss, like maybe 2 points could have been scored for the monastery, but they weren't. LSC with an annoying move, just blocking up here a little bit, creating a small chance of maybe blocking this square, and then sort of keeping these farmers separate. In practice, it's pretty much never going to happen. And another blow to LSC's chances as CT finishes a lovely road and is considering meepling another one. Oh, this is greedy. Greedy, 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 greedy. I'm not sure if I said as many greedies as I said CTs, but that certainly was the intention. And LSC now has a chance to be extremely aggressive and maybe go over here and start a new city like this, which he could complete with the one and only remaining splitter, I believe, which appears to be just too risky, so he chooses the more traditional route of building the one city that he has, and this pays off as 12 points descend on the green player's scoreboard, and we are now completely or almost equal.
Completely or almost equal, but with chances to score for both players, and well, for LC to get back into equality with meeples as well. Maybe I think I still currently would like LC's position actually a tad bit better, given that CT has to use like at least 3 tiles to get to both fields of LSC, and it's going to also suck up 2 meeples from CT. And in the meanwhile, I guess Daniel can get the meeple back from the road and invest a secondary meeple to one or the other field, depending on what type of tiles he gets. Maybe it's, well, likely going to be safer to invest a second meeple to the upper field in case it gets attacked by CT, which I would say is very, very likely. Maybe even with this tile that CT has in hand right now, the lower field likely going to be attacked only via like ninjas, I guess. I don't really see any additional city or any additional attacking points to be made at the lower field with like tile combos of like 2 city caps.
But a ninja attack is quite awesome, right? Because in theory you can go over here, connect one farmer, and then drop a second farmer straight up, and still have one of the 2 remaining curves or the 1 remaining curve available to fit over here. Seems something that might be worth investing the 1 meeple over, but will he pull the trigger on it? And he
certainly
does not. But what would you have done, Otto?
I think I would have definitely with like 3 meeples, and there are not just not just regular curves, but I counted like 16 or 17 curvy tiles, and out of 10 remaining, that feels quite a lot. Well, now it does depend, of course, largely on the point situation, and now it might very well be correct for CT to not drop a farmer there, to not drop a ninja, and just try to save that 1 extra meeple for something like this ruin, or for the attack to the 9-point field at top. But I haven't quite figured out the full point situation. I haven't really had the time to count everything up yet.
Intuitively, I would have liked the ninja indeed, for all the reasons that you said. In practice, we know that it would not have worked out because LSE actually drew a crossroad tile, which would have prevented the ninja. But an interesting idea nonetheless. And when you have the luxury of meeples, then you also have the luxury of thinking in terms of equity rather than direct points. But let's see what happens now with the crossroads. Let me just get this up.
In the meanwhile, I can confirm that CT is actually ahead by 1 point, and that ahead is a lie because he is down by 3 points, because I forgot to take into account Daniel's road on the right. So down by 3 points if my calculations do not fail. And with that in mind, it does appear that somehow attacking to the 9-point field at the top is gonna be a route to go for.
Oh, we should be back now, and I was actually losing my mind, but I think that I had connection issues and Borg Marina had their own issues at the same time. It has been pointed out by their chat. Honestly, I just want to Isn't that interesting? If somebody's from Hong Kong is watching, we need to know from the tournament organizers what actually is the protocol for these sort of events. Do we postpone the game? Do we just award the win to whoever was ahead? Otto, if you were a tournament director, what would be your first instinct? Yes, Nicola, I'm living in a BGA data center.
My first instinct, certainly seeing that it is, first of all, a very tight game, is to be able to give some leeway for the players, because we can point out with kind of proof from the chat and from the stream itself that it is a BGA error indeed, and not just players trying to get some extra thinking time. That there should be some possibility, let's say, of a like going negative time without it like affecting the actual like outcome of the game. But this is something that like in more frequent manner, let's say, should probably be taken into account when making any tournament, because given the frequency of these BGA server errors, then it seems to be that that these happen quite regularly, and these situations where player goes out of time, like not by their own will, or not by their own reasons, is going to become an issue that we need to touch on the tournament level, tournament standards.
Yeah, so the tournament organizer, Helik Lung, I'm pretty sure they're gonna make a reasonable decision at some point. I'm just gonna keep refreshing for a little bit, but I wonder if we might have to resort to just never mind. Maybe this is going to work. At least I can open the board game arena now. LSC has placed the tile. They're now thinking about placing the meeple, but I'm not sure if they can even access this. So probably going to try and persist and see the game through the end. Maybe
honestly, like at this page, I'm sorry if that I interrupt you, but given the excess time of LSC at the moment, I think BGA is gonna just simply end the game itself, and that's gonna make things really interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say that there is really another possibility than just restarting a game by the tournament organizer.
Well, probably unlikely, but this is just so unfortunate to have 8 tiles remaining only. Like, if it were a bit closer to the end game, what I could have done, for example, is sort of calculated the winning probability for the players and then like make a coin flip accordingly, although this sounds a bit too excessive and cumbersome. Yeah, so I guess somebody will just have to be displeased because they had a better position, and soon we're going to see the game neutralized, like very, very soon. I wonder if it hasn't happened now already. And we're going to wait for this to happen. And then if it does, we're just going to postpone the game and leave you all hanging. We know that LSC won the first one, which actually I remember that I didn't portray on the scoreboard because I forgot I even had one. And the second one is just going to happen sometime.
Yeah, for Gaiga, as this is a tournament game, I do believe that it is impossible to turn the game into being turn-based, as much as both of these players possibly would like to do.
Yeah, and we can see that they're both online, so it probably means that one of them can sort of access the board but just cannot click. I've had this issue before. This is what happens when Board Game Arena installs tons and tons of new games, but it's whatever. -4 minute threshold. How about let's just chat about something else. Any questions to my fellow YouTuber are welcome in the chat. Random, preferably Carcassonne related topics. And we don't even get there because the game is in fact abandoned. And that would be quite an unusual finish. All right, so I still want to hear from somebody from Hong Kong in the chat as to what is going to happen now. Like, are we going to restart the game right now? To which the answer is, of course not, because Board Game Arena is down. Yeah, I'm thinking a little bit slowly. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for confirming. This will be continued in another day, so Otto and I are going to try and reconvene either on this channel or his. We're going to figure that out. And I will let you know. So in order to know when that stream is going to happen, because it will be scheduled at a short notice, then make sure to subscribe to both this channel and Otto's channel, Nalaheim. Click notifications on both and then follow carefully. Anything else you have to add, Otto, about anything else you want to say?
Well, not regarding the games, I believe. I mean, it's a very unfortunate manner that we had to end this, but well, I guess I can might as well thank you all the viewers who were here to witness these unfortunate events and see the harsh reality of BGA on its worst. But yeah, feel welcome to join once we reconnect to this matter at some other day and some other time when we get the schedule.
Completely joining your words. And for everybody, thank you all so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.